You expect me to talk?
No, Mr. Bond, I expect you to die.
Once again written by Neil Purvis and Robert Wade, directed by Cary Fukunaga, 2021's No Time to Die. As we all know now, this was the last film produced by the legendary Barbara Broccoli and Michael G. Wilson, the end of an era, so to speak, and sadly I'm associating a lot of negative things with this film. Those things, they have nothing to do with the film itself, but more with the circumstances surrounding the release of the film. You know, this was released in the midst of the COVID-19 pandemic, and first of all it got pushed back over and over again. I think it was scheduled for a release in spring of 2021, if I'm not mistaken, and you know, then it got pushed back to winter of the same year, then it got pushed back to next year, and so on. It got pushed back over and over again, and I remember the disappointment. And I wasn't in a good state of mind by that time. I wasn't in a good mood. You know, the whole COVID years, they really got to me. The isolation and everything that was going on. Yeah, I wasn't doing well at the time. And when we arrived at the cinema, I think it was opening night here in Austria, there was a mask mandate going on, and it wasn't easy to sit through the film. You know, it's a 3 hours long movie. So I felt like, I don't know, suffocating at some point. It wasn't easy to do. It was not a good experience. And sadly, to this day, I'm not able to separate those memories, those feelings from the film. They are somehow glued to the film, those experiences. And hopefully one day I will be able to, you know, separate those memories from the film. I cannot do it right now, but okay. Let's talk about the film itself. I think it's a good James Bond movie. It's not great. It has a lot of flaws. It's a worthy send-off for Daniel Craig. But I have a feeling it was already time for something new. When this film came out, it felt a little exhausted, I think. You know, the Craig era felt a little exhausted. It felt like some sort of a bonus round. You know what I mean? I had a feeling it was time for a new direction for the films. I would have preferred something more funny, something more lighthearted, you know, maybe a little more from the Brosnan era, because it was such a dark time. And yeah, you can argue the film was already made by the time the pandemic hit. That's true. But nevertheless, I think, as I said, it felt like some bonus track on a record or something. Personally, I think Spectre was the perfect ending for the Craig era. I would have loved to, you know, him sailing into the sunset with Madeline Swan, and I loved it. I thought it was the perfect ending. Maybe not the most realistic, but hey, it's a Bond film. And, you know, this No Time to Die is in large parts a very dark film, like most of the Craig era films, and like most of the films from that time. And I think it was a little too, it was depressing, let's be honest. And let's face the elephant in the room, James Bond is dying in this film. And I remember it was such a bad experience, not only for the masks at the cinema, but it was like going to a funeral or something, you know. By the time the movie was over, I was depressed. I felt empty and sad, and people around me had tears in their eyes. I wasn't the only one. I guess there were a lot of fans there, and yeah, some of them were crying. It felt really terrible. It was like, and there was the pandemic going on, and I think it wasn't the right movie at the right time. I think it was bad timing, and you know, in this film, there's so much drama going on. People are crying all the time, and it's so sentimental, and that would have been okay a few years earlier, but by the time, again, I think it was the wrong time to do stuff like that. Um, yeah, I wouldn't have let Bond die in the end. I think it was a reasonable choice, and it was a realistic way to end his arc. Because yeah, this only could have ended like that. I guess, living on the edge like Daniel Craig's Bond was. But I wouldn't have done it. I think it wasn't the right choice. It was a bold choice, and I respect it. I respect them for making such bold choices. And as we all know, Fleming let Bond die in one of his books. He resurrected him later, but he once made that decision. And it's a bold decision, and I respect it, but it's not for me. I don't want to see Bond like that. The other elephant in the room, Bond has a daughter in this film. That's also interesting, and it's very, pulls on the heartstrings when you see him communicating with the child. It's lovely scenes. It got a lot of heart in there, but at the same time, I'm asking myself, do I want to see Bond like that? Making breakfast for a child and being a nice dad. Yeah, I don't know if that's my Bond. I still want him to be this womanizing, cool guy and unattached, having one girl after another. Yeah, call me old school, I'm sorry, but that's what I want to see from Bond. And I get they made him more of a real human being in this film, and this was the intention, and it's done very well. Daniel Craig is great again, his acting, and yeah, it is what it is. It's not really for me, but okay. Overall, it's a really good film. It's a beautiful looking film. Cary Fukunaga, who directed this, also directed True Detective, and he's visually a very talented guy. The color grading, everything, it's a stylish looking film, beautiful looking film. It's a feast for the eyes. I love the whole opening. I think this film has one of the best pre-title sequences of the franchise. We see Bond and Madeline sailing away into the sunset, sitting in the old Aston Martin DB5, beautiful Matera, Italy. The music from Hans Zimmer kicks in, including the We Have All the Time in the World theme. And it sounds and looks really, really beautiful. And you can feel the romance going on here between those two. It's not that long, I don't know, it's at 15 minutes or whatever, but in those 15 minutes, you really feel it. You feel those two, and the chemistry between Madeline and Bond, it's very romantic and energetic. The location is beautiful, the music is beautiful. I loved the whole pre-title sequence. I loved the car chase in Matera, Italy. I think it's one of the most exciting car chases, all in Bond. There's one of my favorite scenes from the Craig era where, he's desperate, sitting in the car, and the guys are shooting at the windshields and everything. Madeline is crying, and it's an amazing scene. It's really emotional. It's great action. It's great music. It's larger than life cinema. I love it. The title sequence is beautiful as always. Billie Eilish's title track, yeah, it's beautiful. I'm a fan of Billie Eilish. I think she's great. It's not the best Bond track. It's again, I think it was already time for something new. It sounds a lot like Skyfall and Spectre. Again, feels like some sort of a bonus track, a really great bonus track, nevertheless. But I think it was already time for something more energetic, maybe a rock a tune or whatever. Yeah. Then there's a great villain. I know there's a lot of criticism for Rami Malek playing the villain in this film, playing Safin, Lucifer Safin, very funny name. I think he's very interesting. I think he's a menacing presence. He really scares people. My girlfriend was pretty scared when she first saw him, or let's say uncomfortable, because he's got a menacing presence. He looks pretty great with the scars, and I think I love his accent in this film. I think it's a classic Bond trope. Villains have an accent, so I don't get the criticism. I really don't. Some say his character wasn't developed enough, but hey, name any other villain in the Bond films and tell me about character development. Yeah, some of the greatest villains in this series weren't that developed in their characters. So I don't really get the criticism. I think he's perfect. He was the perfect villain. I love Madeline Swan in this film. Léa Seydoux wasn't my favorite Bond girl when she was in Spectre, because the romance felt a little flat, I think. I didn't believe it 100%. Yeah, beautiful looking, but not that interesting as a character. Not enough screen time with Daniel Craig. But in this film, they did it absolutely right, I think. She's really good in this film. I think she's the best actress in the film. She's the best actor in the film. She is, what she does is it really gets to me. I felt it. She's a strong presence in this film, and I think she steals the show. She steals the show from Bond, from Daniel Craig. She's my favorite character in the film. Totally believable, and her whole arc, and speaking about character development, this is a very well developed character in the series. So she's great. Naomi, played by Lashana Lynch, cannot say a lot about her. She's fine, I guess. That's all. There's Felix again in this film. Same goes for him. Fine. It's not great, but it's nice to see him. It's nice to have him back. Brings back old memories from Casino Royale and Quantum of Solace. Love both of those films, by the way. Yeah, so Ralph Fiennes is okay, like always. He's charismatic, as he always is. We have Q back, we have Moneypenny back. It's all fine. I love the locations in this film. I love Matera, Italy. I love that they go back to Jamaica. This is a highlight of this film. This is my main positive. I'm a big fan of Dr. No, and I'm a big fan of Bond being in Jamaica. I associate Bond and Jamaica. I love the books Live and Let Die, Dr. No, which are set in Jamaica. And as we all know, Fleming wrote those books while spending time at his Golden Eye. It's a resort now, but a Golden Eye estate in Jamaica. So Bond and Jamaica, there's a long history there, and I love that it was so nice to see him go back there. When I first heard the title of the film was No Time to Die, I was pretty sure they will let him die, and I thought that he would die in Jamaica. That would have been a very nice coming full circle for the character. I think that would have been a pretty interesting move. Going back where he came from, dying where he was born. I think they should have done it that way. Yeah, the scenes are beautifully shot in Jamaica. There are funny scenes between Bond and Naomi. Yeah, I love the visuals. And I also love the Cuba scenes in the film. Right after the Jamaica scenes, he's going to Cuba, where he meets Ana de Armas' character. She plays Paloma in the film, and she gives such a likable, entertaining, light-hearted, funny performance. Um, and I know she's a fan favorite. A lot of people say that Ana de Armas' Paloma is the definite highlight of the film. They love her so much. I heard people saying they would have loved to see her as the main Bond girl. And I think her being a fan favorite indicates, again, that it was already time for a new direction. It was already time for a more light-hearted Bond. Uh, and yeah, I think people liking her as much as they liked her, um, backs up my theory for that. That they should have already gone in a little more light-hearted direction. Yeah, she's amazing. Her action scenes are really great. Amazing choreography. Beautiful set pieces. Her and Bond having a drink while fighting. Old school, charming, old school Bond. Bond wearing a tuxedo again. Love all of that. When those things are over, it gets pretty dark, and again, too dark in my opinion. Felix Leiter dies, and everybody's in a bad mood, and everyone's crying, and then there's the thing with the child, and yeah, I don't know. It's amazing scenes in the woods in Norwegian, the Norwegian woods. It's pretty dark stuff, visually pleasing, but I'm not the biggest fan of the last hour of the film. Yeah, I don't know. Very dark, very depressing. Larger than life music by Hans Zimmer. That's my main positive talking about the last hour of the film. It's a larger than life score. I love it. It's the best since Casino Royale. Coming when it comes to the music, beautiful. Yeah, the rest is very depressing, and I like the Fleming quote at the end of the film. That was a pretty nice idea. It's also nice to have Fleming, referenced. Yeah, so I have mixed feelings about No Time to Die. It's a good film. It's a well-made film. It's a beautiful looking film. It has an larger-than-life music. It's a great score. Amazing performances by the girls. Nice locations, but it's dark and depressing, and I'm not sure if it was the right time to do that. And I have to say something before closing here. I'm a little worried about the future of Bond, because as we all know, Denis Villeneuve is directing the new film, the upcoming film. He did amazing movies. He did one of my favorite films of all time, which is Sicario. He also did Dune, and he's again a visually very pleasing director. He's an artist. He's a true. He comes from the whole art house scene, and I'm sure he's able to make a beautiful looking film. But he never ever did a light-hearted film. All of his films are very dark, very violent, and very thought-provoking, even in a philosophical kind of way. And yeah, he never ever did a funny movie or a light-hearted movie, and I'm assuming he will not make a more light-hearted Bond film. The same goes for the writer of the upcoming film. He did Peaky Blinders and stuff like that. Amazing show, but also very dark, very dark. And so I'm assuming the upcoming film will be pretty dark stuff again, once again. And I'm not sure if that's the right direction to go, because almost all of the fans that I know, they are hoping for a more light-hearted Bond. They are talking about the Brosnan films since the pandemic hit, and rediscovering those films, and loving those more light-hearted Bond films. And I never heard someone say, I want a more brooding, more a more dark and yeah, a more dramatic Bond. Don't know any of those voices, so yeah, I'm a little scared. I think it's time for more lighthearted stuff. You can see it in other franchises. Take the Superman thing, for example. I think people are ready for a little more uplifting stuff, you know. But we'll see. Thank you for watching. I love you, love the Bond community, and see you very soon.